We're back at it, Mike. We are back at it. Episode number 46.
Wow, 46.
Dang, man. Like, oh, man. It's been amazing. You know what, Mike? I realized we got some apologies to make. I'm going to apologize. We have apologies to make. And I will get to that in a bit. After the hood talk, I'll get to the apologies. But to start off with, man, Mike, I mean, the last couple weeks have been interesting, man. Have been an interesting couple of weeks, and you know what? It's always so sad when we got to start off with on a low note, man. Now, for those of you who have been paying attention, recently there was that shooting down in Houston, man. Mm-hmm. Mike, more children being killed.
Wow.
What is going on here? 8 children dead, 2 teachers. This is a shame. Mm-hmm. This is an outright shame. Like we were talking off air about we're like our show could be school shootings now. Yeah,
like,
it could just be strictly school shootings.
And there are so many to talk about.
Yeah,
wow.
You know what? Like the last major one that happened, we talked about it. Those high school students who were killed in. No, I forget which city that was. Was that one in Florida? I can't recall. So many, exactly. There's so many. It's easy to lose track of them, man. But it's such a shame when young lives are taken so too soon, man. You know, Mike. In our day, we never imagined, hey, we're going to MT, and when we're 15, 16 years old, a murderer is just gonna go into school on a rampage and gun us down.
There was no fear.
Yeah, there was no fear. Like even if there was like, we saw the occasional fight and whatnot, but it wasn't to the level of I'm worried this person will now come and gun down a bunch of students or kill a couple teachers or even come into school with a gun like that, with the intent of killing.
Never a fear.
Yeah, like I never went to high school with that fear. I never went to elementary school with that fear. So it's just an outright shame when you hear about these stories. And you know what always seems to surface after the fact is there was maybe a mental health issue that wasn't detected, whether it was by the parents, whether maybe even by the teachers, whatever the case was. It always turns out there was a mental health issue that was not picked up upon. And it's sad when you realize, because I mean, we have to imagine there must have been red flags, because I gotta say, for myself, like I'm not the kind of guy where, hey, one day I'm just gonna someone's gonna talk to me the wrong way, I'm gonna show up with a gun at school the next day. There has to be clear red flags that were going off, and I don't want to put the all the blame on the parents or on the teachers or maybe even the friends of this individual, but we gotta start recognizing this stuff, and it has to start at home. Like, I mean, Malachi is 10 months now. If he was to grow up and let's say, okay, I notice certain behaviors going on at home. Maybe when he sits at the dinner table, we're having dinner together. I talk to him about his day. He doesn't want to open up about his day. Maybe, it's like, okay, I stumble upon some of the websites he's been visiting online, and it's like how to make bullets. That doesn't add up, But it's like there have to be clear red flags that happen whenever we see these things, because it isn't just, unless the person is like the most extreme of bipolar I've ever seen. It doesn't just go from, okay, one person talked to me the wrong way this day, next day I'm showing up with a gun.
Yeah, no, no.
There has to be a culmination of events, of, things that happen leading up to the fact, But Mike, it's always, and I will repeat this time and time again, the loss of any life is always tragic. But when it's a life that is cut short too soon, it seems it hits home even more so, because we start to think, well, if you're a parent, what if you send your your child to school, and this happens. Or if you're a person, a student who's in high school, you start going, okay, like, do I have to worry about going in and maybe the wrong guy all of a sudden pulls a weapon on me? If you're a teacher, like, school should be the one place, okay, you go there or you send your child there, that's a safe haven.
Yeah.
Nothing bad in terms of guns, in terms of that excessive violence should be happening in school. Yes, you're obviously going to have conflicting, personalities and stuff. Not everyone is going to be the best of friends and hang out together. No. But it should never be like...
biggest concern shouldn't be their safety.
Their safety,
Where it's like, in our days, like, the biggest concern was getting to and from school.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, that's the scary part
exactly.
of your day.
But
the scary part is
actually being in the school.
Wow.
Like, oh, man, it's a shame. But you know what, Mike? It made me want to actually talk about mental health. And, so that's going to be the topic of this week's Hood Talk. Because there are those of us where maybe we're afraid to address it with the individual. Maybe we're even afraid to believe that, hey, this person may be dealing with mental health. But one thing I will say, I'm glad that came out recently. And it's been a few months now. But from the Toronto Raptors, DeMar DeRozan has recently come out, and he said he's been dealing with mental health.
Wow.
Maybe not to the level of, I want to kill myself or commit suicide, but there are things that he's been dealing with personally that have impacted him as an individual. And he has actually come out, and recently, because I've been watching the NBA playoffs, they've been playing a commercial with him and also from the Cleveland Cavaliers, Kevin Love. Both of these, top star athletes, high profile guys have come out and said they have both dealt with mental health issues, So when you see names like that coming out and actually like owning the fact that, hey, they're not perfect. I mean, none of us are. None of us are perfect. No. But the fact that, they have dealt with these things and they may be still continuing to deal with it, but they're going through the process of learning how to deal with it and how to learn from it. It makes it a lot easier to discuss these topics amongst, I guess the lesser known people, if you want to put it that way. But yeah, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about mental health, and again, I always want to urge and encourage those people out there, those who listen to the show. If you recognize that you may have a family member, a close friend, whatever the case may be, a mother, a father, heck, I mean, parents deal with this stuff too. I mean, guys, do not feel that you're not within your right to try and reach out to these people, try to help them, But Mike, just through my own personal experience, there are times where I've dealt with individuals that I believe, and this may not be anything that has been, diagnosed by a professional or whatnot, but I have dealt with individuals that I believe, are dealing with mental health, whether they want to, address it themselves or not. And I will tell you some clear red flags for me. Guys, right off the bat, suicide attempts, not just the threat of suicide, but legitimate attempts at it. Like, guys, red flag, serious red flag, because that person clearly doesn't realize the value or how important life is, and they don't value their own life to the point where they no longer even want to exist, want to live, death threats, now look, it is perfectly fine, I get upset Mike gets upset. I've never seen Mike upset, but I'm sure Mike occasionally gets upset, you know. By the way, guys, Mike is sporting a new haircut, and he's it's looking good, man. I like it. I like it, you know. Put a little fade on the sides, but you kept those curly locks on top. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Jonah, good job. So yeah, you know, death threats. We can always get upset. Not everything. We're not going to be all hunky-dory and let's always shake hands and sing songs together and kumbaya this and, you know, but it's how you deal with that, you know, being upset at someone. Is it worth threatening their lives?
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're having an argument with somebody and then your go-to move is
I'm gonna kill you.
Like that's not right.
Sleep with one eye open. Like that for me that's a clear red flag. Yeah. All right. Also when it comes to when it comes to children, guys, your child should never have to be like your therapist. Your child should never be used as like a chess piece or a pawn, if you want to put it that way, for you to sort of get your way and to, you know, gain control of a situation. If you're putting your children in between you and, you know, a loved one, or you and someone, you know, that means a lot to that child, guys, there's something wrong there. You know, children they're innocent, Mike. You know, children, you should want to instill nothing but the best for, you know, qualities in that child. You should want to raise that child where they're not having to deal with adult issues. A young child is not mature enough, is not experienced enough to deal with mature adult problems. So keep the adult issues for the adults. You know, as your children get older, and of course, you start to talk to them about certain experiences, certain feelings they may have within themselves, whether it's like the birds and the bees or whatever else, you know, but you save those discussions as they get older.
Save adult discussions
for adults. You know, guys, do not put your children in the middle.
Oh man, I'll tell you this one story. I was at a bank machine, and this young lady comes in and she has a daughter. Old enough to walk and talk, stuff like that. And I hear the daughter's like, "Oh, are we going to see Daddy today?" And the girl's like, "Oh no, your daddy's a punk."
Blank. Yeah.
And then she was like, "Say that about your dad." Like she was getting.
Oh my goodness!
It was like I was
so she was training the child
to say this about her father.
Wow.
And I was like, I was taken back. I was like, this is. This is what happens when you put a child in between
guys, you know what? Leave the adult issues for, you know, parents have to realize first and foremost, look, we have to be co-parents here. Yeah. You know, the child should, like, that is just baffling to hear this kind of stuff, you know? But guys, I mean, these types of things, we got to start to realize, hey, you know what? These are red flags. These are things where, you know, they may be building up to a boiling point. Guys, any type of violence used, if you're with, you know, your significant other and, you know, they get upset and the first thing is they want to swing on you, that can't be right, you know? Like, cause again, I mean, that shows this is someone who is maybe incapable of controlling themselves as an individual, you know, and God forbid it only escalates, you know. The last thing you want is that a thrown punch, a kick, a slap, whatever the case may be, escalates to the point of murder. Pulling knives, same thing, guys. If you're with someone and they feel it's okay to pull a knife on you, and they feel justified in doing so, either you got to look at yourself and say, okay, am I really doing something to the extreme that maybe really makes this person feel at risk for, or you got to look at them and say, because at the end of the day, we're still responsible for our own behaviors. So, I mean, unless it's like, okay, you pulled a knife on them and then they have to defend themselves by but as soon as a knife is pulled, if it's like, okay, there's an exchange of words and all of a sudden butcher knife comes out.
Yeah,
that's not a.
It's like we were having a conversation. Yeah, yes, it's getting loud and heated, but
butcher knife comes out.
At what point?
Guys, and when it comes down to watch the type of things that they watch, whether it's like television shows, whether it's like the stuff they search for online. I mean, pay attention to these little things, because you know what, hate can develop so quickly. It's so, Mike, it takes like 1,000 positive things to erase like 1 or 2 negative things. It's like we always focus on the negative. Well, yes, you've done all this for me, but there was that one time you did that to me,
and our brains are wired that way. It was a survival trait.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to remember the bad, because the bad will hurt you.
Exactly.
It can kill you. So your mind is set to remember the bad
exactly.
things.
But guys, it is such a shame when you see people dealing with mental health and they may not even realize it, but it's like these, what we consider, we're just like, oh, well, they were just upset. We make excuses for bad behavior, And guys, just last week's episode, I talked about my own behavior as being someone who was abusive. And that's the thing. You have to own your stuff, at the end of the day, and it may not be to the extreme. It may not be okay, you're doing, but at the same time, like, you grow as an individual by owning the fact that, hey, you know what? Regardless of whatever there was that led to it, I'm the one who made that mistake. I'm the one who escalated it, or I'm the one who took it where I've now done an injustice, not just to my loved one, but to myself. So, guys, recognize, these behaviors. Recognize when someone may be dealing with mental health and they're afraid to address it. And it's not to say this may be an issue that they were born with. This could be a culmination of like traumas that they've gone through in their lives. Maybe they lost a loved one when they were younger. Maybe they've been victims of abuse, whether it's like sexual or just physical. Maybe they've been victims of verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. There are so many types of abuses out there, but we have to get to the root of the problem, because the last thing you want is to hear that this individual all of a sudden took it upon themselves to, snap, lash out in a way where now they've harmed others and they've affected the lives of many families, many individuals. Because, we always want to say, okay, our condolences go out to the families affected. But imagine the school friends of these 8 people who died in Houston, these 8 students who died in Houston. Imagine the families and friends of the adults, the teachers who died. It's like there is such a big effect, and it's not just on the immediate family, it's the people around them as well.
It's the handful of kids that it's like I knew every single person that died
here.
Like, wow.
That could have been me. And maybe even a couple of them are just like, I was supposed to hang out with this guy that day, but I got sidetracked with something else. So I wasn't there because of that.
Wow.
It goes so deep. And now it's like you have all these different people who are now traumatized, who are now, who now have to go through, therapy and counseling. Because I'll tell you this, Mike, like, let's say we were in high school and one day I came in and it's like maybe we were supposed to go to instrumental music, and it's like, hey, I was running late, and then I heard it's like Matthew Cortez snapped, and like Cortez just like killed you, you know. I would be like, holy crap! I usually sit next to Mike.
It's like wow, you know, it's like what would have happened?
It's like what would have happened if I was there? Could I have stopped Cortez? Maybe I should have taken his tuba. You know, maybe that baritone shit. And Cortez, we kid. Obviously, that never happened.
Wow.
But
just,
yeah, you
know. So remember in Quebec in the engineering class, and the guy came in and shot all the women.
Yeah.
So like the story is that he let all the men leave the room, and then there's this one guy. He's like, he had his back to him. He's like, I could have taken him, but I was scared.
Yeah,
and he killed himself years later because he's like the guilt.
Yeah, the guilt.
Like,
just
why didn't I do anything?
That's the other thing. The guilt, just it is just like a compound effect, you know.
So just imagine you're like, oh, I should have died in that shooting as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And
but
wow.
it's guys, it is, you know, it goes so
the
deep.
ripples of that.
Man. Yeah,
wow.
What seems like one, you know, situation, it just causes it snowballs into so many other lives are affected. And even, I mean, when it comes to us, I mean, we're talking about this because even whether we're far away, we're even affected by it.
Wow.
You know,
never thought about
it may not be to the extreme of those who were in the school or those who were close friends or close family members of the individual. But we're discussing this because this has an effect on us. And you know what, Mike? And we were talking about this before the show. You know, it seems like in this day and age, sometimes we're desensitized to these things. And we'll say, like, oh, it's just another shooting happened. Oh, okay, you know. But, I mean, even look at what happened. The royal wedding happens, you know, and it's just like, oh, hey, let's forget about those students who were shot. Let's forget about what happened. The royal wedding's here. Harry and Meghan are getting married. And it's like, look, I don't want to, you know, discount the royal wedding and what it means to those involved, but in my life, the fact that innocent lives were lost and the fact that, you know, individuals were killed, it means a lot more to me than Harry and Meghan getting married.
It's one of those things we're talking about. It's like if we stopped these big events because of tragedy, we'll never have an event again.
You know, it would, because it seems like week in and week out, there's always something where, and I mean, Mike, let's think about the ones that don't even make the news.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
wow.
That's the other thing,
I
you
wouldn't
know?
be surprised if another school shooting happened at the exact same time, but it was small.
Yeah, it was
so
like, okay, it was between two people or something, you know?
One person was taken to hospital.
Exactly.
Nobody died.
No one died. One individual taken to hospital. The other one's in custody.
Yeah, so like it wouldn't even make the
it doesn't make, you know, the like national news or anything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those people who go to that school also have to think, oh, great, now I got to fear for my safety when I go to school here. Or, you know, like the family and friends of the person who was shot, you know, yes, they thankfully lived to see another day, but you have to fear for their safety and for your safety, you know? So it's really a sad state when we can have a full-out program just about school shootings or just about shootings, mass murders that happen, you know? And like as usual, we want to send our condolences out to everyone affected by this. I mean, it's just such a shame, man. It is such a shame. The loss of any life is a terrible thing, but when it's someone who is young, someone who hasn't truly even started living yet, you know? When I was in high school, Mike, I was just going through the motions, you know? Yeah. It's not till like you get older, you mature, and you're like, hey, you know what? Here's something that, you know, you learn what you're passionate about and what you want to focus on, that you actually start living, and you meet that person who you plan on spending the rest of your life with, and you create a family, you know, that's when you start living. But it's like in high school, I was just going through the motions. Hey, let's go do this, let's go do that, you know? And it's just, I didn't have any focuses, you know?
No.
But it's such a shame when a life is cut short, you know, an individual is just killed before they even enter their prime. Not even to say they were in their prime. They didn't even enter it yet,
Wow.
you know? And yeah, you know, like, our condolences go out to those affected. We want to continue, guys, we want to urge everyone, guys, look for the red flags. If you have someone you're living, even if it's a matter of maybe you're a little apprehensive when it comes to approaching them, or, you know, you're a little hesitant because you're afraid of how they may take it, then go, you know, find other avenues to go through. Whether it's like you maybe report it to like a family doctor where you're like, hey, you know what, doctor, I've been seeing so and so. Is this something that should be a cause for concern? Because the last thing you want is that you didn't actively do anything, and all of a sudden that same family member that you were worried about, that you had an inkling maybe this might, you know, develop into something, has done something where it's like you end up regretting it, they end up regretting it, and lives are lost. And, you know, at the end of the day, we don't want, we all want to live to be old and enjoy life, you know. Like, I'm looking forward to the day when I gotta walk with a cane. You know, like, I would love to see that day. And like hip replacement or something, you know, like, but it's like, we shouldn't be in fear of that. You know, if we go early, let it be from like natural causes, you know, let it be from something else. Let it not be by the hands of a person who shouldn't own a weapon, or a person who, you know, pulled a knife or this, and, you know, like, guys, just value life, you know, appreciate, every day, because it can be taken, you know, you never know. I bet you none of these people, the 10 people who died, I guarantee you there's not one of them said, well, today will be my last day on earth, you know. It's like, and it just gets cut just like that, you know. So our condolences go out to everyone affected by that, the friends, the families, even those who may not even know these people, but it sits, you know, it sinks inside of you. It maybe it reminded you of a situation where you knew someone where that happened to them, you know. But yeah, it's, guys, just value life, cherish life, and enjoy it, you know. So yeah, we're gonna take our first commercial break, Mike, and when we come back, I got a what's up with that. That's it's a bit of a head scratcher, Mike. It's a bit of a head scratcher. I didn't think, and that's the thing, maybe because we're up here in Canada, we don't realize that, hey, you know, like, racial profiling or maybe even racism it still exists, you know, because so often we hear about it so much in the States, but when it's like you sort of experience it yourself, you're like, okay, yeah, it's still here, you know. So guys, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we return, you're gonna have a brand new What's Up With That?
Oh, hey, Knowledge Bookstore. Hey, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, I know this place. Hey, you're Sean. Sean, hey, Mike from the radio show with Brent.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, yeah, hey, you know, I saw the store passing by. I was thinking about picking up a copy of Brent's book.
Brent's book? What?
You know, the one he's always promoting on the radio show.
Brent didn't tell you, Mike? There's no book.
Wait, there's no book?
Oh, hey, Mike. Didn't realize you'd be in the neighborhood. What brings you up here?
I was just by here and I saw the bookstore. We're always talking about it on the show. I thought I'd come in and buy a copy of the book.
Oh, you actually came to buy a copy. I didn't actually expect anyone to come all this way.
Wait, what do you mean? You have photos of the book on the shelf.
Well, Mike, you know, like, Photoshop, man, it's a hell of an app. I didn't actually think you would come.
Wait, so you wasted my time?
Well, you know what had happened was, look that way. Straight hood. It is actually a book.
Oh man, welcome back, guys. Welcome back.
So the apologies you were telling me before we had to apologize.
Yes. So before we get to this week's What's Up With That? we got some apologies to give out, Mike. Now, for those of you guys must have been thinking, what the heck are these guys even talking?
He hasn't told me
Mike's
yet.
trying to. I haven't even told Mike yet. So now, Mike, remember now, guys. For those of you who don't realize, we usually record the episode a week in advance of when it actually airs. So. But Mike had to be away last weekend, so we actually had to record 2 episodes the last time we got together. Now, where this caused an issue is that we had to, project or speak hypothetically on what might happen to the Raptors in their series against Cleveland. Yeah. So we had to speak like, okay, what could happen? So basically, we went the most positive way we could, where Raptors win in 7. Yeah, right. For those of you who have been paying attention, you see our predictions didn't exactly come true. And for those of you who didn't even follow the NBA playoffs and were like, hey, Raptors are still in it because you only listened to our show. We apologize, guys. Mike, just to quickly touch on it, Game 4 for the Raptors against Cleveland was not what we had anticipated.
I think I saw
at all.
I think I heard it on the radio, and after the first quarter, I was like, okay,
Well, I'll tell you this. I didn't watch any of it, but I was working at the time. And basically, I just remembered, because we have television set up at work in the lunchroom. Mm-hmm. So I'm going by the lunchroom. I look in. It was the end of the third quarter, and the score was 100-72 in favor of Cleveland. And I said, okay, that's it. Yeah. and right away, I thought, yeah, Mike and I were totally wrong. Like, we weren't even a little close. Mike, the Raptors ended up losing that final game by 35 points. It was a shellacking of epic proportions. LeBronto continued. LeBron James continues to be the bane of the Raptors' existence. You know, I gotta say, LeBron, if you want to compare him, it's like Jordan of the 90s. You know, for those teams who, like for the New York Knicks of the 90s, because Michael Jordan played, they could never win a championship. Like, I feel bad for guys like Patrick Ewing, even like Charles Barkley and them. Like, these are, Hall of Fame players. Yeah. But because that one player, whenever he was, and it's funny because Jordan, 90 to 93, three back-to-back titles, right? So then he decides, hey, I'm going to take a couple years off, go play baseball. That's always been my childhood passion, to be a baseball player.
Do a few movies.
Exactly. Does a couple movies, whatever, but goes and plays baseball. Takes time off to go and play baseball. Has a terrible baseball career, if you want to really look at it, compared to what you see in his basketball career. So it takes a couple years off. Only one team capitalized on those 2 years that he took off. That was the Houston Rockets. Hakeem Olajuwon and company won the 2 years Michael Jordan was not in the league. He comes back, wins 3 more straight titles. It's like... And that's sort of what it has been for like any team in the Eastern Conference when it comes to going up against LeBron James. Now, I believe now, at this point in time when we're speaking, Cleveland is down 2-1. And I believe the Boston Celtics will ultimately win this series because they have the better team. But still, LeBron James is the best player, just to give credit where it's due. He's the best player. And so, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden, the Celtics blew it and, lost the series. But it when the Raptors go up against LeBron, it's like they've already just given up. They're already defeated before the series has even been played out. And yeah, So guys, to those of you who listened to our most recent episode and heard our optimistic, if not realistic, predictions for what could have happened in that Toronto series against Cleveland, we really apologize. For those of you who only listen to the show and that's where you get your NBA playoff results from, you may want to tune into an actual sports network.
Don't quote us
guys,
on
don't quote us on unless like we can give you actual I guess proof of where it's
unless we're like, oh, I'm reading this right now.
Yes, right now off of a credible source. Don't quote us, guys, okay? But yes, we do apologize. Our prediction was far from the reality of what it was. And hey, you know what? Now it's back to rebuilding it's not a total rebuild. But I mean, I think with our group of players that we have, we've hit the ceiling, So I think we can keep, the core guys, but there definitely needs to be some repiecing around those guys. There are even people I know that are saying it may be time to deal DeMar DeRozan, who is the face of the franchise. I mean, he has been with us his entire career. He is committed to staying his whole career. Wow. We drafted DeRozan.
Oh, wow.
And who knows? Maybe that's why he wears the number 10 because we drafted him 10th overall. But ultimately there are those who are saying, hey, it's time to part ways with DeMar DeRozan. If we can get some good pieces in a trade for him, who knows? But yeah, that game 4 was as ugly as it could have been. I'm glad I didn't have to watch it. But hey, you know what, Mike? Some good news. Speaking in terms of work, my promotion at work is now official.
Hey, right.
So I have officially done a week as the team lead on the midnight shift. Now it wasn't the ideal shift, but just sort of looking at everything, seeing Malachi is 10 months now. When it comes to babysitting and stuff in daycare, hey, because I'm working at night, I can now be with him during the day and whatnot. So, and just in terms of like everything, it was right now. It was the right time to switch to midnight shift, and it came with a significant bump in salary. That's nice. That's always nice too.
How's sleeping and stuff? Like, has it been fine?
Actually, it's been good. I thought it was going to be much worse, to be honest with you, because about 6 years ago, I used to work nights. Like I was doing security at the time though. But and getting paid much less to work the same shift. But what's it? So I was like, that was my biggest concern. How am I going to be sleeping when I get home, right? But no, so far the transition has been great. I've actually been getting the same amount of sleep as I do when I was working during the day or on afternoons. So hey, nice. You know what? Right now everything is going good.
Does the sunlight bother you?
No.
Is that a big thing?
My room is quite shaded.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I know people work nights. I know. They need blackout curtains.
Yeah, and that's what my concern was. Like, I will not be able, when I get off at 7:30 in the morning, I will not be able to go to sleep at 8 o'clock or at 8:30. And I get home and pretty much I just watch TV till I just fall asleep.
Nice.
That's good, so it's been good so far, But yeah, now that we've apologized for our horrible prediction, just absolutely horrible. And guys, I can't apologize to the Toronto fans out there. I cannot apologize enough because we got waxed. Like, we just got straight out waxed. But hey, now to this week's What's Up With That? And Mike, I'll tell you, this one was a head scratcher. Now, this is something that personally happened to me a week ago, 2 days ago. So 2 Saturdays ago, this happened to me, Mike. And I was like, seriously, in this day and age, 2018, this is still going on? But hey, you know what? I can understand, but I'm still surprised when I see it. So you know what, Mike? In this day and age, we're always like, racism doesn't really exist, If so, it's only like a select group of people.
It's so hard when we live in such a huge multicultural
city. It's we live in a melting pot here,
Every one of my neighbors is from somewhere else.
Exactly. And you really get to appreciate that. And because, I mean, even for me, coming from Trinidad, I was seeing mostly like black people and like maybe Indian Trini people back in Trinidad, you know? So when I came up here, it was a little bit of a culture shock, you know? It's like, shoot, here's a white person. I've only seen those on TV, like on Sesame Street. That's the only time I saw those back home, man. Sesame Street, you know? So when I first came up here, hey, yeah, it was a bit of a culture shock, you know? Like, even to see like a Chinese person. I mean, I remember there was like one legitimate Chinese Trini person where I saw, where you look at them, they look Chinese. And then when they talk, straight Trini accent, right? Not even a lick of Chinese in there. Pure Trini accent. So, I mean, even coming up here and seeing that, you know, like that was a surprise for me. But anyways, let's get to the story. So I'm walking down the street and I'm in downtown Toronto. Downtown, a place where multiculturalism exists day in and day out, you know?
Yeah.
You would think anyone who's in the downtown area, oh yeah, for sure they're not going to be, you know, it's in the middle of the day too. 3 o'clock, just after 3 o'clock in the day, Mike. So I'm walking south on Yonge Street, right? And I just randomly overhear a conversation. I had no clue who was having the conversation, whether they were white, black, Middle Eastern. I had no clue, right? And so I heard 2 women. I knew it was 2 women, but I didn't know what they looked like. And I heard them saying, hey, you know, they're talking to each other, but they're like, oh, I think we missed Cumberland. I think it's around here somewhere, but they weren't sure where, right? So I just thought, hey, you know, just being a kind person, let me just go and direct them to where Cumberland is, because I realized it was just a block south of where we were, right? So they were walking west on the street that I heard them having the conversation at. So I decided, hey, you know what? I went up to them just like, hey guys. And so it turned out it was 2 white women. They turn around and immediately, before I could even say anything, they look at me with disgust on their face, first of all. Like, I'm like the nastiest, like I just rolled out of a ditch, you know? And right away, I'm just like, oh, I just wanted to, and they're just like, no. And like, just like the most smug look on both of their faces. And I'm just like, okay, this is, and I'm like, no, it's nothing bad. It's nothing. And they're just like, no, it's okay. Just go. And I'm like, all right. So like, I'm smiling at them, trying to, you know, let them see, hey, I am coming to do something kind for you. Like, I'm not trying to rob you. I'm not trying to take your purses or abduct you or, you know, or pull you into a dark alley somewhere and have my way with you. I overheard what you guys were saying. I just want to let you know, hey, Cumberland's this way. So in the midst of them saying, no, it's okay. Just leave. I go to, I'm just like, no, I heard you guys were looking for Cumberland. I just wanted to let you know it's just south of where we are right now. Now, Mike, all of a sudden, their reactions totally changed. The one on the left, who was, I will be honest, giving me the dirtier of the looks, she's just like, oh, thank you. The one on the right, who was giving me a dirty look, but not as dirty, she's like, oh my goodness, you're such a sweetheart. Thank you so much. And I was just like, that's it, guys. That's all I want. I'm like, have a great day. And I walked away. But it just, I gotta say, I was stunned because of the age because I believe the one on the right looked like she was maybe around our age, you know, like mid-30s, maybe like a little older, if that. The one on the left looked like she was a little older than that even, maybe, you know, early 40s or so. But the fact that they turned around and before I even had anything to say, you know, I totally understand if it's like 10 o'clock at night, no one else is around, I look really sketchy. You know, like I turn around, I got like, you know, I maybe smell bad. I got this look like, man, I'm on the prowl tonight. I completely understand you telling me, nope, stay away. All right. But this is 3 o'clock in the day. The streets are filled with people. They turn around. I'm smiling, trying to be cordial, be polite. And right away, no, get away, leave, get away right now. No, thank you. And I was just shocked. Now I won't outright come and say, maybe they weren't looking at me as, okay, look at this dirty black guy, or, maybe race had nothing to do. Maybe, Mike, even if you showed up, they would have had the same reaction.
Maybe
Who knows?
Just like, they were like, who knows?
Yeah,
but they were
yeah.
like, a guy. Oh,
a guy by himself. We're two women. Who knows? However they looked at it. But for me, it was just like, guys, really? Like really?
Like not like you couldn't listen to one.
Yeah,
one
like
sentence.
just one sentence.
One,
Exactly. Just hear me out. Not that, who knows? Maybe they could have been right. Maybe I could have been someone who was looking to cause harm to them or something. But the fact is, they didn't even let one word come out, let alone a sentence. And if they would have realized, yo, this is a nice guy. He may be
like not everyone's trying to take something from you.
Exactly. And guys, that's, I want to say that to guys, don't automatically turn around and don't judge the book by its cover. You may not know. Who knows? This could be a person who's trying to do something nice for you. This could be a person who ends up being your best friend. Because you know what? A friend is a stranger you haven't met yet. So like, at one point in time, we didn't know each other. I didn't know Mike my entire life. Not like we came out the womb together, And so, but guys, do not be so quick to judge people just based on appearance, Now, I realize, in this day and age, maybe women, they feel the need to have to protect themselves, but also take everything into context. Now, if this guy was a real, creep, he probably wouldn't be coming up at 3:00 in the day. He'd probably be like, okay, let me track them later tonight when the sun, because for those of you who know me, I cloak with the darkness. So if I was really on the prowl, I would wait till it's dark out, But hey, you know what, man? It just made me say, yo, what's up with that, man? What's up with that? Yo, I'm not bad. You know what, Mike? How many times do we say that? Guys, I know sometimes you may look at the profile picture. Well, you look at Mike's and you're like, wow, this is a stand-up dude. You look at mine, you're like, maybe a little sketchy, So, okay. But at the same time, we're not bad people. We're very approachable, Join us. Just say.
So
hey.
yeah. So I'll even go as far, if someone knocks on your door, at least let them have one sentence.
Exactly.
Before you're like, no.
Exactly. Not interested. Hey, you know what?
I'm gonna start doing that now, because I'm always like, if I don't know, I'm like, no.
Yeah. No. Thank you. But hey, you know what? Sometimes, and guys, even if it's like one of those like Jehovah's Witnesses stuff, sometimes I hear these people out because you can learn something from them. It may not be something where it's like, okay, I'm going to change religions, or I'm going to join your religion or change my beliefs. But who knows? Maybe the way they approach you or the way they speak to you, it might make you think differently about the average Jehovah's Witness person. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm used to them being very pushy, trying to get in, trying to sign me up, trying to do this. But this guy was very respectful. This guy really showed me that maybe I shouldn't assume the worst from every Jehovah's Witness I run into, or every person who comes to the door trying to sign me up for like energy products and stuff. But you know what? I'll be honest. I used to be one of those energy people. Don't let those guys in. All jokes aside, don't let them in. Right. All right. Anyways, guys, we're going to take one final commercial break. And Mike, I think I feel my blood pressure rising.
Oh, no.
I think it's on the rise. It's starting to bubble a little bit. So when we come back, we're going to close off with a little angry black guy. So, episode 46, Hood's Goods. We'll be right back. And I'm not really that angry.
So, Brent, what's the name of your book again?
Straight Hood.
Oh, and who sponsors Straight Hood?
Straight Hood.
So, Straight Hood is sponsored by Straight Hood.
Yeah, that's right. Bookception. Oh, welcome back, guys. Welcome back. So we're about to, finish off with the last part of the show. Mike.
So, Brent, why are you so angry?
This is the thing, Mike. This is what's got me irked this week. Bus drivers who are driving while talking on the phone at the same time. Now, Mike, you know what? Normally in the past, I would have no issue with this. You know, I'd be like, whatever, they're just bus drivers driving. But in recent, times, the laws have changed. And where a private driver is heavily penalized for using their phone while driving on the public roads. And I think to this point, I think now it's like $255 fine that you have to pay, and you lose some demerit points as well. So the fine is one thing, but the points,
like that
adds up real quick. But this is what's got me irked, Mike. I'm on the bus. I'm taking now when you're driving your car, okay, it's you by yourself, or at the most it's a few people with you, maybe 4 or 5 total. And you're held to this standard, hey, you can't use your phone while you're driving. What are you trying to do? If police see you, you're getting pulled over, you're getting a serious ticket, demerit points. But I'm on the bus, and how many times do I see bus drivers, their supervisor or whoever who knows, the TTC head office calls them, check in on them, whatever the case. And these guys are driving a bus filled with people during rush hour. And they're like having a full out conversation on their phone. Now, and these phones, it's not like to say, oh, it's a compact little phone, or it's got like a headset, it's like Bluetooth compatible. It's like an old looking rotary phone that they have. And like, these guys aren't getting pulled over, and they're not getting tickets for this. But Mike, you know what? I will say this. The other day, and this was a pleasant surprise, for the first time ever, a TTC driver. And you know what? I wanted to say kudos to this guy. I ultimately didn't. But in my mind, I thought, you know what? Good for you. Because you're actually thinking about the individuals on the bus, getting them to where they need to be safely. This guy got a call from whoever, TTC called him. The guy pulled over, put on his signal, let other cars know, hey, I'm pulled over to the side right now for whatever reason. He finished the entire conversation on the phone. Once the conversation was complete, put the phone back on the hook and continued driving. This guy took the time to actually pull over, Mike. But 9 times out of 10, these guys don't care. These guys don't give a damn. Just like, hey, whatever, I'm going to Kennedy Station. I'm going to Kennedy Station. I'm going to talk on the phone. You people... And, like, you will see other people watching, like... should he be on the phone like this? And like, he's just like one hand on the wheel, and that's a giant wheel. All right. That's not your average steering wheel on your car. Okay. That's a giant bus steering wheel. Okay. And this guy's having a full out conversation on this phone. And like, even there are times where you're like, okay, dude, you're kind of swerving. Like, you're really close to the line, or you're over the line, or you're full out in 2 lanes right now, and you're still on the phone. So you know what? TTC bus drivers who be talking on the phone, get off the damn phone. Get off the phone, all right? Just stop it. Stop it. And that's what got me irked today, Mike.
Oh.
That's what had me irked today. But you know what? Credit to that one driver, dude. I wish I got your name. I would have mentioned you on the air, right? Or at least got the bus number, and But I was being lazy at the time. But credit to that guy. He took the time. He pulled over. But the rest of y'all, stop it. Just stop. And hey, now I'll go back to my pleasant, not angry self, and we're gonna close out the show, Mike.
All right.
Yeah, you know what, guys? For those of you, Mike, big announcement. We got a big announcement for the people.
Oh, we do.
From here on in, Hood's Goods, we have officially joined on the Hurt No More campaign. So, for those of you who remember, we had a guest on a couple episodes ago, Supreme Solid. So he and his wife Elaine, they have a campaign going. It's a nonprofit organization that they have going. Guys, it is anti-abuse. So for those of you who are against abuse, guys, get behind what they're doing, and hey, what we're now doing, because we're part of it now, guys. We've joined on with their camp. I talked to Supreme earlier today. He's glad to have us on, and we're glad to be part of it. You know what? And yeah, we're gonna. Well, me personally, I will be using my own personal experience, not only as the abused, but also as the abuser. To, you know, spread some light, enlighten some people, whether you may be the one being abused in a relationship or just in life in general. If you have someone who's bullying you, someone who's picking on you, guys, we're definitely I'm gonna use my experience to spread awareness and to hopefully, you know, enlighten some people. Guys, for those of you who are being abused, do not retaliate. You know, because Mike, that's where I made my mistake. I felt I was being abused, and it got to the point where my patience finally ran out, and I became what I hated. You know, instead of me taking the time to protect myself and also not to cause, you know, inflict any harm on the other party involved, I retaliated in the wrong way. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't go shooting anyone up. I'm not that kind of guy. But no, you know what? It's important that we recognize abuse at all levels and not just say, oh, well, because the only one that matters is physical. Okay, guys, I'll tell you this. Sometimes the words last longer than the actions. You know, sometimes it's you know, there's even financial abuse. You know, and these are things I'm also finding out doing the program that I'm in. So, guys, for those of you, do not become the abuser if you're being abused. Take the time, get out of that situation, protect yourself, protect everyone involved, and yeah, learn from it and use it as a means to, you know, help yourself grow and hopefully help others grow. So yeah, guys, Hood's Good Show is now part of the Hurt No More campaign. So going forward, every post we do, we will have that link in there. You guys can go check out the page, like it, follow it. You know, there's also a single that they have. His wife Elaine has a single, so we have the link for the single. Guys, all proceeds from the single go towards the foundation. So don't feel like, okay, they're using this to like fill their pockets or any. No, not that's not the case at all. They're just trying to raise awareness and continue to support those who have been abused and continue to hopefully work with those and teach the abusers who are doing the abuse, you know. So guys, yeah, take the time, educate yourself, be aware of abuse in all its forms. Don't feel, well, just because it's physical, that's the only one. There are many layers to abuse. But we want to avoid abusive behavior. We want to avoid, you know, interacting with each other in an abusive manner. So take the time, educate yourself, enlighten yourself. And if you know anyone around you, anyone who might be going through an abusive situation, help them, guys. Reach out to them and work with them. But hey, you know what, man? That's our new campaign, Mike. And so also for the relaunch of the book, there will be a bonus chapter in there, and I've now decided it will be about abuse.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So
to read that, yeah.
So guys, yeah, that's all I got to say today, Mike.
All right.
However you want to say to the people, I encourage guys, continue to go check out Knowledge Bookstore. Mike, we're gonna have to pay them a visit one of these weeks. Gonna definitely have to pay them a visit. Check out 179 Queen Street West if you're in the Brampton, Ontario area, or even if you're in Toronto, drive up there. All right, we've done it, so you can. So yeah, guys, go check out Knowledge Bookstore. Continue to support what they're doing. Support the show. We appreciate all those of you who tune in on a regular basis, and we want to apologize to the Toronto Raptors fans out there one last time for the horribly wrong prediction that we made. But hey, there's always next year. All right, guys, so want to wish everyone a safe and enjoyable day, and see you guys next week.